Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining me today on this beautiful day. It's a Chamber of Commerce Day today, right? And I want to thank Tampa International Airport for hosting us. Tampa International Airport is the best airport in the country. I had to give them a plug. Thank you so much for your generosity in hosting this press conference. I also want to give a special thanks to my colleague, Representative Toby Overdorf, Senator Lauren Book, Lieutenant Governor Nunez, and Attorney General Moody. I also want to thank law enforcement, the criminal justice reformers that are behind me, and their survivors who are so brave to be here today. Over the next 10 days, in lead of the Super Bowl 55, we will be welcoming so many visitors, thousands of visitors from all over the country to visit our beautiful city, filled with natural beauty, award-winning restaurants, and family-friendly entertainment. But we will not welcome any form of human trafficking. In advance of any sporting event, up to 10,000 victims flood cities with little or no penalties to their abusers. Human traffickers have no regard for human life. They think they can get away with it because our system is broken. I'm happy to say that we are here to change that. Today, I filed House Bill 523. This bill allows survivors to move on with their lives and address prosecution flaws that allow traffickers to stay active. The goal of this legislation is to address the supply side of the industry by stopping the perpetrators committing these horrendous acts while giving the victims every resource necessary for their path to rehabilitation. Currently, human trafficking victims advocates have no standardized training, and their communications with victims are not private. Although they have the best intentions, we want to provide a consistent message and support throughout the state. The bill gives our Attorney General's office the tools to develop a human trafficking victim advocate program that includes 30 hours of training and allows for privileged communication to help survivors build a network based on trust. In addition, in Florida, expungement can be a strenuous process for victims with backlog, long waits, and high costs. This bill allows victims to file for expungement of a crime that was subsequently dropped or ruled not guilty while that person was being trafficked. Imagine being on the streets as a young teenager, and the only way you could survive was to steal food from a convenience store. Fast forward, you're trying to get your life back on track, get a degree, or buy a home, and the only thing left on your record was a charge for robbery. You can't move on with your life, especially in a time where unemployment is at an all-time high. The state is facing a budget deficit, and there are barriers to those who have been involved with the justice system. Allowing these individuals to expunge their records provides them with the opportunities, not barring people and making their lives harder. The final piece of this bill, thanks to Senator Lauren Book, involves fixing our prosecution process. Currently, a victim of human trafficking must give a deposition against their abuser to receive justice, which prolongs their trauma, forcing them to relive their trafficking experience. This is wrong. This bill removes the deposition requirement for a victim of human trafficking and grants the state the power to assume the role of the victim. This provision allows the state to prosecute human trafficking cases even if the victim is too afraid to face their abuser or press charges. As we approach the Super Bowl, know that this is prime time for recruiters to prey on our youth. Even those recruiters are the same age as our children. So parents, please be cognizant of what your children are doing, what they're watching, and who they're talking to online. It is at this time that they're preying on us. As a mother, I'm absolutely disgusted and horrified that these horrendous acts are happening under our noses. And I'm committed to doing everything in my power to stop human trafficking in our community and across the state. Let me welcome my colleague and co-prime sponsor of the bill, Representative Overdorf.
Well, thank you, Jackie, and also want to thank all the members for being here today and being a part of this. As we look to the upcoming Super Bowl with our very own Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I reflect on how much preparation was completed by this team. Human trafficking has also been preparing as well, and the fight against it we have been prepared for a long time. For those of you that don't know, my name is Toby Oberdorf, and I am an appointed member of the Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking. Our governor, Ron DeSantis, along with our incredible Attorney General, Ashley Moody, well, they're leading our team. The Florida legislature takes the fight against human trafficking seriously. During my first 2 years in office, we have pursued aggressive measures to capture those that are utilizing human trafficking. We have also approved and are taking forth aggressive measures on training. We have trained hundreds of hotel workers, restaurateurs, those in law enforcement, and countless and many others as we prepare to tackle the scourge of human trafficking. Know this, Florida is prepared. Thanks to efforts of my colleagues here and in the legislature, and the new legislation by Representative Toledo and myself, we will be taking the game throughout Florida, and we will, with the help of all of you, end human trafficking. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway. Thanks, Chief.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here today. On behalf of the 23 members of the Law Enforcement Human Trafficking Task Force in the Tampa Bay area, I want to say to the two representatives, thank you very much for bringing this bill forward, because this bill means a lot to law enforcement. And let me tell you what it really means to us. Our job is to go out there and arrest the human traffickers, but our next job is to make sure that our victims are not victimized again. And this bill does exactly that, that when we rescue our victims, that they get another chance in life and they don't have to go through that trauma again. As Representative Toledo said, they've gone through enough. They're trying to start their life. So this bill does exactly that. They've gone through that trauma, their records can be clean, and they can start again. As we know, the Super Bowl is right around the corner. Law enforcement is out there looking for the traffickers, but traffickers, let me tell you this. After the Super Bowl, we will still be here. We do not want you in Florida. We do not want you in the United States. We're going to do everything in our power to eradicate human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Brent Woody. I'm lead attorney and executive director of the Justice Restoration Center. I first want to thank our survivor community for their expertise, for bringing their voices to the table, for their leadership and keeping us on track as we move forward with legislation. We can sort of fix the legal nuts and bolts, but that endeavor can actually hurt people, so we appreciate the leadership that they bring. I really want to thank Representative Toledo, Representative Oberdorf for their passion for the human trafficking issue, but not just the issue, but the humanity behind it. So we appreciate that. We are committed to support House Bill 523. It's excellent, an excellent bill, and we're excited about it. I look forward to working with the representatives on it. And it brings a sense of, an added sense of protection for our survivor community, and also justice, much needed justice, that the system, frankly, has not always acknowledged, but it's coming around, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
My name's Savannah Parview, and I am on the board of directors for Florida Alliance to End Human Trafficking, and I am a survivor of human trafficking. And I didn't know for many years that I was trafficked, and I didn't know that what happened to me when I was younger was human trafficking until I learned what human trafficking was. And I remember when I started going to counseling and working through the things that happened to me, I couldn't even speak about them to my therapist. I had to write them down. And so the part of this bill that creates the survivor advocates is very important, because I couldn't speak for myself to get the help that I needed, and I needed somebody else to do that for me. And I know there's many survivors who don't even know where to start the process of getting help, and having an advocate to do that is going to be very beneficial.
My name is Kim Squires, and I'm one of the survivor mentors at More to Life, an Open Doors outreach network provider that primarily serves in the Suncoast region network. So at Open Doors, we primarily serve ages 10 to 24, and through that, through those services, we provide direct victim care wraparound services 24/7, 365. So why this bill is super important to me is because I know, first, foremost, and on the behalf of other survivors, that it is vital that we can have our records expunged, because that keeps us from stable housing, that keeps us from employment, and so what that does is that causes us to re-victimize, be re-exploited, and so that's just one of the parts of the bills that's super, super important.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Chief, for being here, Brent, for everything that you do, and the survivors, and for the courage to speak up. When I've heard the stories from these victims, there's so many different cases. Like you heard from Savannah, she didn't even know what human trafficking was. She didn't even know she was being victimized of human trafficking. And that's why we have to speak to our children. We have to educate them. We have to bring human trafficking up. My daughter told me, oh, I would have to be kidnapped. I'm not going to get kidnapped. No, that's not how it happens. So we really have to educate and enforce the laws that we have and create new legislation to make it harder for these perpetrators to get away with it. But at this time, I'd like to take any questions that you may have. Any questions? Well, we will look forward to working on this bill throughout the session in the next 8 weeks, I guess, and to get your public testimony as well. Yes. How the process works, we filed the bill today, and then it will be assigned to 3 or 4 different committees. It will have an opportunity to be heard for and have public testimony, have people from law enforcement to give their testimony, from survivors as well, in the committee process. And this is just the start. We can add things, we can delete things, and it will go through a process, and hopefully at the end we'll have a great bill that will pass both chambers. Sí, en español.
Sí, para que me conozcan. What can you tell, like, our community, how can they help? Si me puede responder en español, ¿qué les pides a ellos para que el tráfico humano se acabe no solo durante el Super Bowl, pero también aquí en Tampa?
Primero tenemos que educar y decirles a nuestros niños e hijos qué es el tráfico de humanos. Y también tenemos que decirles que hay resources para cambiar, para que ellos puedan hablar, y esta ley va a cambiar que no pueden compartir esa información con otras personas también. So esta ley va a cambiar todo y va a proteger los víctimas de tráfico humano. Permiso, no te puedo oír. Si el Super Bowl... Sí, hay demasiada policía allá para ver si hay tráfico de humanos, so vamos a parar eso también. Yes. Yes, our Senate sponsor is Senator Lauren Book.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Any other questions?
As far as the deposition provisions, are there provisions specifically for minors of sex trafficking or human trafficking in the deposition procedures?
Right now, that hasn't been addressed. It's open because a minor might become an adult when they're deposed, so we haven't figured out, but we will go through the committee process and clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you again for being here. My office is always open for any questions or comments. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.